My earliest memories of dreaming about the NBA were when I would be in my room, in our basement. Every weekend I would watch those NBA games and I would dream about being able to play on those days. But the truth is I would look at who were the guys on the bench, and I would see, all right, I need to be that good. I need to be better than that guy. I would realize I could achieve that. I could be a specialist. I could be a guy who shot the ball. That was motivating for me. And then when I would come out here, that's what I would dream about. I remember shooting shots all the way in as far in the corner as I could go, and saying, like, if I make this shot, I'm gonna go to the NBA. I'm Steve Novak. This is my beginnings.
This episode of Beginnings is presented by Melrose Credit Union.
Brown Deer is where I grew up, and it's literally like all my childhood memories are pretty much, in Brown Deer. And Brown Deer shaped me. That's why I'm in the NBA today. This is the street that I spent pretty much third grade on up to I left for college. So we are going to head to my parents' house now. There'll be the whole crew over there. My mom, my dad, my two sisters, my brother, all the in-laws, the babies, everybody. So it'll be a fun scene, there's no doubt about it. Hey, sorry, that's you waiting. Boy. Oh, hello, everybody.
Say hi. Hi.
This is my little guy, he's 2 years old. Oh, yo.
Our passion for basketball started with my husband. He played basketball all through high school, all through college, and then he became a teacher and a coach.
He is the reason that we play basketball.
Basketball is not who we are, it's what we do, and we just enjoy it. And when you find enjoyment in something, you tend to repeat doing that.
And growing up, it was always something that was fun and available to us. We always just had a great time, shooting around out here, playing horse, playing one-on-one, just together as a family, and that it brings us together. And it's kind of kept us together.
And the fact being that she actually never won one game out here against me, and yet continued to still love to play, is really a big credit to her. Being my older sister, it would have been hard on me. If my younger sibling had always beat me. But she continued to stay with it, and it just, that's...
Well, it's interesting the stories he has to tell himself. I mean, he's accomplished so much, and here he is lying to the family.
You see a wall like this, and it's like, okay, you were great at basketball. Your family's great at basketball. Congratulations. I think the value in this for us is where some people in their stairway kind of have like the photo shoot every year. This is kind of our photo shoot every year. It's really all of my awards, my dad's awards, my brother, my sisters. We turned it into essentially just a family shrine.
You got a favorite one?
To be honest, the simple one of me, my dad, and my brother. The year we went to state. It's not an award. It's just a picture, and that'll be a time that we'll never forget, and all these other ones are individual. So this is my childhood basement. It didn't used to look like this. This has really become storage for a lot of the stuff that I make them save for me, which in my high school days, as you can see, there was literally just thousands and thousands of letters. It was crazy to be recruited as a high school player. Always felt so cool, and then USC is the one that sent all these. And they honestly sent me, at one point, 2,000 letters in one day. And they're all still not open, so I hope there's no money in any of them.
The one word that always has described Steve is relentless. I think his work ethic has always been relentless.
He was up in the morning. We'd wake up to the ball bouncing in the backyard.
Steve's always been a great example, for anybody, but basketball isn't what he was to me. He was always just like my big brother. That's always how I knew him.
One of the things that Steven used to always say was, I know the other guys are practicing, and so I need to practice more than they are. So it was kind of like your own competition against the whole rest of the world.
Macker, you can shoot with me. And I think because I could come home from school and walk out in my backyard and have this, yes, it gave me that edge that I needed, that I always kind of craved to be able to have on all the other basketball players. I decided I was going to make 300 jump shots every day after school. I had a calendar that I got, and I charted every day. I made 300, and it was no layups counted, no free throws counted, only jump shots and three-pointers. And I knew from that point on, if I continued to do that, that by the time I got to college, people wouldn't be able to catch up. And I think this is where I have those memories of truly developing. Ah, yeah!
Let's take a look at the court right here.
Yeah. Even though the school district of Brown Deer doesn't know.
Now they do.
You gave me the code to the school, and I know you just had to be praying I didn't set the alarm system off. So we are headed into beautiful Brown Deer High School. This is where my dad coached for 26 years. Now he is the athletic director. Me and my brother went here. We actually played together for 1 year. I was a senior, he was a freshman, and my dad was our coach, so it was pretty cool. So we're here, just doing a little Brown Deer tour. We figure we'd come and visit the man who knows it best. So these are the hallways, Brown Deer High School, baby. A lot has changed, that's for sure.
And it's changing, even more so now. Up here, what we have is a lot of the honors that Steve got as an All-American basketball player while he was in high school here, mostly from his senior year.
Yeah, always whenever I talk to little basketball camps and stuff, I always tell them my dream was to be a varsity basketball player. And I say, you know, when I was a freshman, I was able to be a varsity basketball player, but it didn't have that much to do with the fact that my dad was my coach.
No, it didn't have anything to do with it. I mean, he put the best talent on the floor.
This is Andy Bauschelt. Yep. He's my man. He was my assistant basketball coach here.
What do you remember of him back in the day?
Hardest worker I've ever seen. Had a goal in his mind and worked his tail off to attain it.
So this is my man, Mike Hanna. We've been friends since he was good to me when I was just a little tyke. He's always been, took good care of the high school and always made sure my court was nice and clean.
When he first came to school here, I can't think of any game that I really missed. I knew he was going to be exciting. Just watching him shoot outside, and I said, this guy's going to be amazing someday. And I used to tell him, you know, one day NBA, you're going to be NBA bound.
One of the greatest parts about the high school in Brown Deer is people like him. I had people around me who were always positive and believed in me.
I consider myself part of the family, too, you know. Brother from another mother.
Let's take a look at the court right here.
Yeah. After all the home games when I was a little guy, I think about how I would go down in the locker room with the team, and then I would go sit with Mom in the stands, and I would wait for everybody to clear off the court and the fans to leave, and then me and Chris and Andrea would be shooting until, you know, 11, 12 at night sometimes. Then we would go home and it would be a school night. The lights would go off, the chairs would be being put away. We'd always be the last people here.
Yeah, the janitors used to clean up around us, that's right.
When you had practice, I'd come get money from you. Then I'd go run to the vending machines, and I'd get candy, and I'd like dump it on the floor or on the stage, you know, and that's where I kind of started my love of being in the gym and just always being comfortable here. It's because it was like I was always in the gym, and it's because like this was where you brought me, this was what you did, and I came with you. I wanted to be a part of it. Even though the school district of Brown Deer doesn't know.
Now they do.
You gave me the code to the school, so I would go in with your keys, I would code in, and I know you just had to be praying I didn't set the alarm system off. I would come and you know, you would let me just come and shoot. It was like my home court, and that was the biggest advantage I had. Is I felt like once I got to, honestly, to college, the amount of time I had spent in the gym and the number of shots I had shot, I believed that nobody could actually catch me at that point.
Uh-oh.
My shooting, I think, really came from my dad's teaching me. You know, I shoot the exact same free throw that he shot when he played in college. Yeah, we don't really shoot that much together now, so it's just kind of cool to think about. It was me and you in the gym 25 years ago, shooting. And now, you know, here we are.
At forward for Brown Deer, a senior, 6'10", number 20, Steve Novak.
My senior year, you know, we made it to state. My dad was coaching, and my little brother was a freshman on the team.
Chris Novak.
We had the dreams of being there and winning it.
Final score, Madison Edgewood 46, Brown Deer 37.
Right at the end of the game, for me, my world was ending. I was losing my senior year at the tournament. At that point, I'd committed to Marquette, and Coach Green came down and said, you know, I know this is tough for you now, but you're going to have a long career ahead of you, and keep your head up. There's a lot of good that's going to still happen after this, and, you know, he was right. Just to come back to the place where you grew up, where you truly developed your love for the game of basketball, and to be honored by having your jersey retired, it's a huge deal, because growing up, my heroes were my dad's high school players. For my dad to have the honors that he's been given, I think he's just so deserving. He just truly loves the game. All he's ever wanted is to bring the game of basketball to kids and teach it the right way, and he obviously has. And I think to be recognized for what I've done, for what he's done, that's all you hope for, that's all you ask. This will always be home court. This will always be where I come back to in the off season. And so to one day bring my, kids in here and they can see that, I think that's what makes it special. For sure, some of the toughest days of my entire life were spent in here. There was a time my freshman year when I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to be good enough. I don't know if I can do this for 4 years. I just don't know if I have it in me. So now we're going to head to Marquette. I lived 20 minutes from Marquette's campus growing up. And so I always had envisioned kind of just that storybook. Yeah, you go off to school, your parents come visit you once in a while. In the end, the truth is I really want to play for Tom Crean. I think I had to get over the fact in my head that just because it was in my backyard didn't mean it wasn't college. If I could do it all over again, I'd do the exact same thing. So every summer, I go to Marquette still to work out. They have a great facility, great courts. So I'm with my good friend Ben. Went to grade school together. I mean, he was the best man at my wedding. We spent all the summers together. He's my go-to workout guy, and we just enjoy being together and working out working out together.
About time.
T-O-double-D. This is Todd Smith, Marquette's strength coach.
Good to see you.
He's been working with me for the last 6 years on the gun show. No.
We think he's a good role model for all of our kids. They see what he's had to do to get where he is and how he's hung in there to stay there. And he had the year he had last year, and he's deserved it.
We definitely try to lift and get stronger, but it's hard to notice on his long frame. So we primarily just work on three-point shooting because that's what easy money. Let's make it easy.
Novak for three. That's good. Right off the bench and nails a three-pointer.
And so now we're at the Al McGuire Center. Just some of the stuff on the walls here is from the 1977 National Championship that they won. And then this plaque is from the 2003 Final Four. The team that we had when we went to the Final Four, for sure our star was Dwayne Wade. Whenever you get to play with someone that you truly feel like you can always win the game no matter how much you're down, he has that kind of talent. If you could guard him in practice, you could guard anybody. This is where our locker room is over here, and then there's a nice picture of myself, and that was actually a picture right after I hit the game-winning shot in the corner against Notre Dame. Marquette-Notre Dame has always been a huge rivalry, and a lot of the alumni, they said if there's only one thing you do, as long as you beat Notre Dame, it'll be a successful year.
Gets it to Novak. Novak throws one up for three. And the Bradley Center is rocking.
That Notre Dame play over there, I can guarantee you can't draw it up, but it doesn't matter because he made the basket. The knock on Steve was,
here we go.
Remembering stuff wasn't as special.
Hey, look, throw me the ball in the corner. I'll give you 3 points. Is that not, what do you want? But all I know is D. Wade used to tell me, look, Steve, if you forget to play, I want you to just run to the corner. And so that's where I learned that. One, you're out of the way, and two, if something breaks down,
he gravitated to the corner before the play broke down. Would be what I guess his teammates might say.
I either got D.
That's
Wade
all right,
open.
man. We appreciate you. We appreciate you.
I still work out here in the off-season, pretty much the whole time, but for sure some of the toughest days of my entire life were spent in here. My freshman year was by far the toughest year, I think of my life. I had never worked that hard. I would lift in the summer with our strength coach. I would have driven from my parents' house in Brown Deer because I wasn't on campus yet, and I would literally have to go take like a 2-hour nap in the locker room after I lifted because I couldn't hold my arms up to drive home. There was a time my freshman year when I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to be good enough. I don't know if I can do this for 4 years. I just don't know if I have it in me. Coach Crean was tough on me. He was so intense. I had never run so much. I had never been, toughened up the way that he did, and I needed it, and he knew that, and there was no other way to do it. He forced me to find ways to be a better defender, to be a better shooter.
Novak, 30-footer. Good! Baby!
Going to Marquette University was by far the best decision I've ever made. I think it was a place that I was able to truly be pushed to the point where I needed to be pushed. It was my first experience of really being part of a basketball family, a group like that, where you really learn what it was like to compete as a team.
3 attempt. You bet! Baby. Oh, baby, that's there you go. 37 for Novak.
It taught me the things I needed to know to be able to get to that next level, which was the NBA. So now we're gonna head to Moe's Irish Pub where I had my draft party. Just had a bunch of family and friends and teammates and coaches here, and we were sitting in this room. It was like my family in this room, and I had all my friends and everything out here.
Thank you, Steve. Russ Credit rejoins us. The Houston Rockets are on the clock. Second round of the draft. Here's Russ Credit, Deputy Commissioner.
Draft day is a day that I think as a player you you look really forward to, but you're also extremely kind of fearful of, for the possibility that you could get picked or you might not.
With the 32nd pick in the 2006 NBA Draft, the Houston Rockets select Steve Novak.
To be able to hear your name called, I think for me, you know, you think back to how you got there, you know, and the work that you put in and the times when you just didn't think you were maybe good enough or you were told you weren't good enough. At times in college when I wasn't sure I was going to be able to be a good enough player to play in college, when I almost quit playing, I think you almost just think back to all those times and you think it was all worth it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun to just kind of share in the moment with Steve and his family, because it's fun to see somebody who deserves it get what they've worked so hard for.
But this building has always meant a lot to me because one, my good friend Johnny owns the building, and two, when I was in college, I worked for Johnny as a valet. Park cars at the steakhouse, and you know, it was a lot of Marquette people that would come in, so it was like, hey, you know, it's Steve from Marquette, he's parking my car.
They were excited.
Yeah, so, and I was excited because I rode my bike, and I get to park Mercedes and Phantoms and the nice cars that come to the steakhouse.
You're now driving a car that you would have liked to park, right?
This is true. I don't think I'm the best valet parker. I just don't fit in anyone's car because their seats are always so close, so I always have to move them back.
Got a couple complaints that the seat wasn't in the right position when he was done.
Never crashed any cars, never dinged anything up. I may or may not have taken a few cars for a few joyrides. It's been really a bumpy journey. You know, we struggled at times to know, you know, where we're gonna still be in the NBA, where we're gonna have to move overseas. We talked about Spain for a while and China.
We got married, I moved to Houston, and we went to the D League.
Ready? Okay, bounce. Oh, ready, catch. Bounce. Bounce that one.
I found another one.
Wow!
Wow. Let me fix your hair a little bit. What is that picture? That mommy and daddy? We met at the Final Four in New Orleans. I met his family pretty early on, and I clearly knew by the height of everyone in their family and by the court and the yard that basketball was something pretty important to them.
I think a lot about the way I was raised and how my dad had me around basketball so much. Ready? Catch. 1, 2, 3. Oh.
So close.
Bad pass. My dad was one up on us, I guess. He put a hoop in my crib, but you have a hoop in your room, right? We take a picture every season on the court where he comes down, because I think it'll be fun for him to be able to see, you know, at that age, my dad was with the Knicks. That's one of the biggest things I always wanted, was for my kids to have memories of me playing, because I think it'll make me a lot cooler when I'm not so cool when they're teenagers. All right. It's been really a bumpy journey. You know, we struggled at times to know, you know, where we're gonna still be in the NBA, where we're gonna have to move overseas. We talked about Spain for a while and China.
Well, even before that, I mean, we got married, I moved to Houston, and we went to the D League.
You know, I had a 3-year contract at that time, so we didn't imagine that that was a real possibility. But, you know, it was humbling, and I think those kinds of things were a big reason for, you know, why I think we are where we are today. I think it was, you know, I realized how much time I had put in, and that I wasn't willing to just, you know, let that kind of thing go.
The low point for us, I think, was probably right after Mac was born. Steve had interest early on in free agency, and then we found out really there weren't any teams that were interested anymore. And so we had to start exploring overseas options, which is a tough decision for a family that has their first child and a child that was premature. The unknown in this job, I think, is really the hardest part of it.
It was scary at that time, you know, not knowing, you know, about your future. Where I'm at right now is really just the beginning to another step in the journey. I feel like I have never been at the point where I knew I could be on one team in one place for 4 years. I have a 4-year contract. For me, that's special. That's something I've always wanted as a home. It's been a crazy journey, and so I think it makes now having a little bit of security and being in a place like New York just that much more rewarding.
And you've worked so hard for this.
Thank you.
He's worked so incredibly hard. I mean, even before I met him, before we met in college, I just hear the stories of how hard he worked. And if you ask anyone from Steve's past or now, I mean, that's all they talk about is how hard he has worked. And he deserves every year of this contract and every penny of this contract, because I really don't think anyone has worked as hard as he has, and he deserves it. He really does.
The last few years, we were all kind of waiting for Steve to get his chance, and this year being able to watch Nick's games was a lot of fun. You know, he goes on the court and finding ourselves hoping, pass the ball to Steve so he can shoot again and do that awesome title belt thing and make the face that you make when you do that.
Novak will try again. It's good. Three-pointer for Steve Novak.
Steve's not like an overly boastful type of guy, and you knew he was, having a lot of fun when he did that.
The story is that one of our security guards for the Knicks had been telling me since early in the year, look, you're a Packer fan, you love Aaron Rodgers, do the belt every time you make a three. And I'm like, no, look, it doesn't make sense. I'm not doing the belt. Eventually, we ended up actually playing Dallas. Basically, I had been released from Dallas. And I think because of the fact that there was just a little bit more emotion with that game, knowing that they had cut me the year before, and it literally hit me at that moment to do it. It was like, I think I hit it, and I just said, now's the time. So I pulled it out, and it hasn't gone away since. I'm a Wisconsin guy. Aaron Rodgers does it. I feel like when I do it now, it's kind of like a shout out to my people in Wisconsin.
Every time I turn on the television, I get goosebumps when you hear his name because, you grew up with him and, he's always been Steve. That'll never change.
To see good people who worked hard, who treated people the right way, be successful, that's awesome. I think maybe I'm building him out to be Mr. Perfect. I'm not doing that. He's far from. His golf swing is terrible. I'm not sure about those shoes. Oh, jeez. But in terms of a resolve and an approach, I'm not surprised he's successful.
Novak from way downtown.
The first time we were in Madison Square Garden was on Easter Sunday of this past season. Walking in the place, it hits you, the significance of the building itself and the history behind it. But then to have my son take the floor, it brought it home very personally. It was a very special moment for me, and I did tear up.
We cried. Well, we've done it before with the kids with basketball, but it was definitely that kind of moment.
Outside, Novak, he'll tee one up.
I've never had the feeling where I feel like I've arrived in the NBA. I've been almost out of the league several times, so that's just something I'd be scared to feel. And I think that the reason I am with the New York Knicks is because of the way I was raised, because of situations my parents put me in. And so I'm just extremely grateful for those things.